Yes, people. My name is M.
Yeah, my name is S.
My name is K. One step away from.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'm Jay.
And I'm T.
Yeah. See, we're doing something a little bit different today, people. This is our last episode of the season. So we're going to host today. We're going to host today because it's time to really start moving forward. We talk about a journey. We mentioned words like table, journey, direction, but we want to keep everyone on track to make people understand that we mean what we say. So today is about giving clarity. Today is about really honing down on all the things we've said, but for the appreciation of you guys that have been with us from season 1 to now, we thought this is the perfect segue checkpoint to really just map out and actually start putting a real big blueprint in terms of what we are planning to do, why we're here, and what to expect from us in the future. Because as I said way back in the first ever episode, we're here to stay. So, question that some of you may be asking or may have asked as you've listened to us over the last 18, 19 months. What are we doing? Why did we start this podcast? I think that's the perfect way to start. We explained why, I guess in season or our pilot episode, but let's just break it down. So I'm going to put it out to my brothers here. From an individual point of view, why did we start this podcast? Like from a personal point of view and as a collective?
Okay, personally, being someone that always listens to others a lot of people told me stuff, so I listen a lot. For me, was the perfect opportunity for me to talk about things that are of interest to me and affects me. A safe place to share. And as a collective, I would say the same, a safe place for me and my like-minded peers in this group.
Definitely for myself, it is definitely a place where we can be exposed on our usual conversations. And I want to be clear with this. These are usual conversations that I have with my peers. And as Black men, being expressive is difficult in this world. It's difficult for me. It's difficult for all of us here. There's expectancies that there's no depth to us. There's a brutality about us that is used by society for their benefit when they want us to be the doorman, the protector, or in the prison cell. And I just want to gather the usual conversation that we have to show this is normal for us. This is not abnormal. And there are others out there like us with one step away from DNA who are at this same level, if not more, or at least coming up to.
For me, this always goes back to what society actually taught us about ourselves. What do we have out there that we can pull on a resource and learn from? What are the lessons that I wish my older brother or my father would have told me when I was younger? For me personally, that's why I started this podcast with you brothers. I want to be able to be heard and understood. I want to be able to live, love, and laugh through something that we can build together. That's what I'm here for.
I think for myself, on a personal one, I've always been one interested in having debates, talking about life in general. My forte really was relationships. I was always intrigued about relationships and how they worked, not just on romantic side, but friendships, family. I was always interested in that, and we always had debates. And then as I got older, I started finding out things that part of me, or the biggest part of me, wished that I had found out those things years before. And when this opportunity came, I felt like this is my chance to actually say to someone who's the younger version of me, let me tell you the things I found out now. And with my brothers here getting together, we can actually do more for our younger selves than waiting and just keep repeating the same cycle over and over again. You get to 30, all of a sudden, you start to realize there's more to life than what you've been taught. It should be way, way before. And that's why we're here.
100%, 100%. I agree with everything that everyone said there and more. And just to round it off on my part, I realized that the amount of audios, messages, conversations that me and the boys have had over the years, we would have had 50 seasons already by now if we actually put those onto a platform. It comes to a point in someone's life where actually you're not getting any younger, and actually, but I have a lot to say. We have a lot to say, and I know there's people out there that want to say but maybe not know how to articulate it, and then that may actually put them in certain situations if they can't get out what they want to say. For me, this was a platform to have a document library for people with one SAF DNA, where at any given moment, as you grow up, as you have children, grandchildren, like you can actually give people reference points to experiences that we've all had. As I said before, no, I've realized that I'm not getting any older or any younger, sorry, but there's things out there that people need to be aware of to avoid pitfalls, or actually to go down this route because this gives you this outcome, or to expect this outcome because of your environment, your situation, your race, your culture, or your identity. So this is a platform to put a voice out there that is currently going on in a lot of people's heads for whatever reason, and actually just hearing someone else go say something that you've been feeling, that just gives you that little bit more comfort. But also, as I said before, it gives people an opportunity to reflect, whether they're, as I said before, meditating, whether they're working out, just a different vibe, a different feel, it's a different sound. We all love podcasts. Like I listen to loads of podcasts. I listen to funny ones, intellectual ones, factual ones, comedy. But there was a gap in the market from my personal point of view in terms of talking about what's actually going to benefit us as people in the long run. We can keep catching on to those episodes that's going to make us laugh, but actually, what is that doing for you as a person after you finish that? Like you might bust a few jokes on that podcast, but is that going to shift your direction of life? So for me, why did I start this? Because I had the people and infrastructure around me, and we said that we wanted to do this for a long time, so we done it. So that's the formation for the podcast. Over to you, S.
So we mentioned a lot about we want to build this table, we want to make it work. My question is to you boys, what is the table? Yeah. Define to me what this table is. I want to hear your points.
That's a heavy level on that one. I'll try not to go into my monologue. Those of you that are in here, you know the reference, but there you go. Right, there you go. Defining this table. Listen, this table to me means more like the English language is limited, and it cannot fully express what I feel this table is. This table represents everything that I've gone through to get to the stage that I'm at now. This table is our future. This table is our present, and I hope to say it's also my history too. This represents life, man. This is life. We walk around here like dead souls on this earth, man. Black people, I'm talking about. We walk around here like dead souls. This is our hell. This is our hell. It's their heaven. You know who they are. It's their heaven. They live cush. We live like dogs, man. All right. And so I'm done trying to rely on the same people that put us in the position that we're in to live off, to succeed. We need to build our own. So this table to me is a escape from this hell that we're in, this escape from this prison. It's escape from being one step away from things all the bloody time, all the time. And it being normalized. Why is it normal for us to be one step away from negative outcomes? But everyone else, other nations, is to flip. I just want balance. And for me, balance cannot come sitting at their table. If it can, then why hasn't it happened? So for me, this is our only option, man. If we really want to have change, this is our only option. Every other option has been tried and tested and failed.
Yeah. You mentioned desirable outcomes. And for me, the table is a physical and a mental space. It's a physical and a mental space. Yes, there's a lot of physical things that can represent the table that we talk about. But the mental part is fundamental for me. The table consists of having a blueprint for desirable outcomes, and hopefully by you guys listening to our podcast, it's identifying problems that we may come across, but actually having a blueprint of how you get to solutions in this space. This table space for me is having educated people, educated adults, educated children, knowing, and when I say educated, it's not just the academic side, it's actually the history, as Kay mentioned before. Understanding what your history is, understanding what your bloodline, what your family is, what they represent, and what their capabilities are, what their skills are, what their strengths are, what hidden talents they are. Physical, obviously, the physical space is having that infrastructure, having hubs, having safe places, land, property that isn't reliant on other people in terms of its creation. I hope that makes sense to people. Building something where we don't necessarily have to answer to a higher authority. This isn't to say that we are disobedient to higher authority, but this is to say actually to create a mindset where we are the authority. Now, to some people, that's already putting fear into some people's, oh, hold on, they want their own authority. If your mind is going down that route, then unfortunately, I don't have time for that, because we've been under the foot of every other authority for the longest time, and it's just to have a fair shake. So the table is that space where you can just be left alone. You know what I mean? Not to say that you can be isolated, but you can have your own space where you can go to and no one's going to bother you, because actually that's your space. They own that space, that physical and mental space. That's them. We can't touch that because we don't have a say in that. So for me, that's what the table is. So going back to what I said, education, educated minds, knowledge, understanding, infrastructure, land, property, something that I haven't touched on too well or too much over the last 2 seasons, but also understanding the spiritual side that is needed to actually be a happy human being. But that, my friends, is for another podcast.
For me, the table represents 3 things. One, represents control for me. Control of our own destiny. For ourselves here, for our people, and for the generations to come. Second one, it represents peace. Because guess what? When we sit around a table, normally there's food. I've never seen people argue when there's food around. Because everyone is eating. They're happy. So for me, that's important. Because when we're sitting around the table, we're not giving each other side eyes on the streets. We're not killing each other on the streets. We're sitting in harmony, having food. Thirdly, it brings stability. I've never seen anyone who put food on the table that's not stable. Ain't gonna happen. So you've got to trust that table 100% for you to put anything on top of it. That means that build will be strong, done right, for you to put anything on top of it, because it can handle anything. And for our people, for ourselves, we need that stability, man. We're all over the place. Been taken from here, put there, gone wherever else we've gone to. We don't have a place where we can just say, listen, this is where our roots are. So with a table, that can happen. That's what that means for me.
Yeah, it's a real one. It shows that this table can mean so much for so many people in so many different ways. Personally, for me, the table is a symbol. It's a symbol of strength to whoever is in earshot or in eyesight of it. They can see the table or see what table that we're about to build and know, like, ooh, these are not the run-of-the-mill one SAF DNA people that we've come across in the past. You know, we're a different breed. We have a different goal. And this table is that symbol. Symbol to anyone, listen, this is a place of sanctuary. It's a place of strength. It's a place of safety. It's a place to come and learn. It's a place to come and express yourself. A place you can come and not be judged. It's a place you can come and receive advice. A place where you can help you reach out to your community. This is what this table is. This table, like I said, it's a symbol. To whoever's looking at it, whoever comes across it would know that it's not just about talk. We live this, and we're on a mission to make sure that we change. We want to make sure that desired outcomes are only one step away. Do you know what I'm saying?
I hear that. For me, so rap, it was a call to action. It's about time. Yeah. This is it's come to fruition now. The time that we've put in is come to fruition now. We're moving forward. And to be able to do that, the table is needed. The roots are down and it's spreading. The congregation will come. Yeah? It's about time. It's not a gift. It's not a gift. So we've got that now. Let's make use of it.
It's not an easy one, people. Listeners, all right? Really hope you take heed of what is being mentioned in these podcasts. These are not light words, and these come from our hearts, our spirits, all right? So I want to bring the question of why. We talked about why did we start this pod. We talked about defining this table, what it means to us individually. Now I want to talk about why build the table. Why are we putting in our time and effort? Why are we working the whole day, dealing with our personal lives, dealing with our individual lives, time for ourselves, but still making time to produce this podcast, still making time to explain to the people about why we are building? We could talk without re-encoding. We could do that. We would still build. But why are we doing all of this? So I want to put it to you, boys. Why are we building this table? We've defined it. Now, why?
I think you might have answered this question previously, preemptively, and I think it's because we have to. Because trying to get a seat or fighting for a seat, or dare I say begging for a seat at any other table really and truly hasn't brought the fruits that it should have over the past 400 years, etc. So I think, and looking back, the only examples of where there was a hope, or the only examples of where there was a hope or a glimmer or a chance that we're going to break through and do this thing on our own, yes, on our own, it was shut down by those who wouldn't let us have a seat at their table. So they don't want us to build our table. So for me, that's perfect evidence to why it's needed.
Simply put, why? It makes us equal. For many, many years, we've had our hand out. Sometimes of our own accord, sometimes not. But when we now have our own table, listen, we're equal. You can't shortchange me because I don't know what I'm doing. I've got my table, fine. If you wanna do business, we're equal partners. You offer 50, I offer 50. At the moment, our people do not see themselves as equals because we don't have a table. All we've got is our handout. Help us. Please help us. And what are we doing? We give someone power. We're giving them authority over us because we need them more than they need us. But when it's 50-50, things might be different.
A people without knowledge of their past, history, origin, and culture, it's like a tree without roots. Marcus Garvey. No speech, no language when the voice is not heard. Gregory Isaacs. Why am I building this table? Because the people that came before me built the first table and it was knocked down. The tree was chopped down to where we've been diluted, we've been lost, we've been raped, pillaged. Now it's time for the voice to be heard, the voice to be documented, the voice to be shown, to be heard, to be understood. That's the why. And if there's any arguments as to why, we don't have a problem, we have a point of discussion. And that's what we have here.
Yeah. Why? Why not? That's why I say, why not? As simple as, why not build a table? But I need to make this clear to the viewers and listeners. Listen, you don't have to be a celebrity or be someone in a high position to make a change in your life, whether that be spiritually, emotionally, relationship-wise, financially. You don't have to have that status to make a change. With all due respect, and this is no disrespect to the rest of the boys, like we are just normal people, if that makes sense. But we still choose to do this. The why is because there's an ingrained desire to be free. Simple as. As simple as, and that's never gonna. You can reset the matrix and start again with our people, and you can do the same things. It will be the same outcome. There'll be a need to be free. That's been like that for the course of time. So the why is actually, yeah, why not? The why is because there's a need to be free. But this is for me anyway. The why is because not I, but is I. There needs to be a change to the cycle, because if not, the next generation will be talking about how they are close or one step away from undesirable outcomes, and their kids will be talking about how close they're from what undesirable outcomes. And it has to be a change in the cycle, or the wheel needs to be broken. Little Game of Thrones reference there. In order for there to be change, and it's as simple as there's an expectancy, whether it is from work colleagues, whether it's from partners, that for people with one SAF DNA, there's an expectancy of us to go down a certain route, and then we'll quietly die. It is, even for you guys listening now, that you may have relations, or you might know or care or love someone. There was at some point in your life an expectancy of how people with one SAF DNA, how their life is going to pan out. It's as simple as that. And I'm not. That's because the cycle is always been there. But when you become conscious of yourself, you become conscious of what the real battles are in life. You don't have to be part of that cycle. Yes, you might have already fallen in certain pitfalls or certain traps that it's just happened, but until your life is over, there's always an opportunity to make a change. So this is more so for and paying homage to the people that came before us. We talk about struggles, we talk about some of the things that we have to go through, but the people that came before us, up until even to our parents' generation, they've been through pains that I will never go through. They've been through struggles that I'll never have to struggle. And for the people that are still alive and that can hear this is to say that, listen, your work wasn't done in vain. Your struggles wasn't done in vain. And I want you to hear people, and there's people doing this already. So this isn't like this is the first time you've heard someone do this, but this is to say that there's people out there that are wanting to make a change for you, for the people that paved the way for us, so we can pave the way for our children. So at some point, there doesn't need to be podcasts on being one step away from. There's podcasts on how do we keep repeating the cycle of success and happiness and comfort and freedom.
My word, boys. The depth of your thoughts and your emotions are it's touching me. It's touching me, man. In a positive way, because there's one thing about the why for me, and it's warfare. Now, understand me when I say this. We've been at war since we came into contact with other nations. We've been at war, and that warfare has never ceased. In order to replenish your camp, replenish your troops, you need rest periods. We've never had no rest. Never had no rest. The why of this table is everything what you have described. But it's also what we deserve. We deserve rest. We deserve payment for works that we've done. Everyone listening now, imagine all the work you've done since you left school, you never got paid for it. Where would you be? Would you be happy and pleased? Would you have the assets that you have now? Well, that's what my ancestors went through. Now, add the work to the point of death. Add the work to the point where your actual muscle tissues are tearing away from your joints. That's how hard you're working. If you faint, you get whipped. That will wake you up. If you rebel, you get whipped and shown as an example amongst the people. No problem. No problem. I don't want revenge. I deserve to feel that way, but I don't want it no more. That was the past us as a nation. We then wanted what? Reparations. So the revenge part left, and now we want something from you to say, can you at least give us something for what we've done? I don't want that. That's the past us. Keep your money, keep your country, keep your buildings, keep your assets. Yeah? And I don't want no revenge, even though that's righteous by your judgment, by your laws. There's been no criminals found. Next stage, which is where we're at now. Just leave us alone. This table, why? Because I want a sanctuary. And because I deserve this. We deserve this. Just leave us alone. That's it for me. It's warfare. And the war that we're now fighting, or that I believe we should fight, is a war of building our own selves up. And for me, I agree with T about being equals. I don't care how you view me. Just leave me alone.
Ooh, that is a deep one. So I hope that gives you, the listeners, a little insight into why there is a need to build this table. So moving on from that, I want to discuss who is going to sit at this table, who's allowed to sit at this table, who's going to be invited, who's welcome. I know previously in this podcast, Ems has mentioned, but what we're talking about, a lot of people might have a fear towards it because they might not understand, and I think we're trying our best to help you to understand. So it's not out of fear, it's not out of hatred, it's what we need to do to survive. So, guys, who sits at this table that we're talking about?
Hey, that's a deep question. Who sits at this table? People, first and foremost, and this might upset people, but first and foremost, in terms of who can have a seat, so I say have because it's not necessarily a given. And just to be clear, this isn't like a cult. This is also a figurative. That's why I said a mental and a physical space in terms of what this table represents. But from my point of view, the one SAF DNA, that's what it's being built for. Straight up, sorry. Like, and if you feel a certain way about it, like, I'd have to question, well, you have had tables built for you for the longest time. So I don't know why you're feeling a certain way that actually someone else is just trying to build a table for them to get to at least that equal state fitting. So if you have that mindset, then to me, you're one of those all lives matter kind of people, and I ain't got time for that. So people that want change, people that want to change the direction of their survival. And I'm not just talking about physical survival, I'm talking about spiritual survival as well. I mentioned this to the boys the other day in terms of, like, when we talk about progression, and a lot of times the natural things are okay in terms of finance and stuff like that. But for me, from a personal point of view, there's a fine line between physical gain and mental, spiritual gain. And that is a juggling act. Well, it shouldn't be a juggling act, but at the moment, for me, from a personal point of view, it is. But it's to get that balance right. So yeah, but going back to answer the question, people that want to see change for their survival, and they want to see a change in what they've seen for centuries, and see the same outcomes. If you want to see a change, then you're invited to the table, but the work has to be put in, and the understanding and the knowledge and reflection needs to be put in.
I had to ask myself, but honestly, I had to ask myself, can I sit at this table? Yeah. And if I want to sit at this table, what do I want to see at this table? Now, in reflection of that, there's things that all of us would like to change. That's why we're building this table. But the man that stood before you guys, you listeners, on the pilot episode, season 1, is not the same man that's on this season ending number 2. I could not bring that person to this table. Yeah. So who sits at this table is those that are willing to do what's needed, look within themselves for change first, and then bring something forward. That's the people I want to sit at this table. Yeah. Those that want to learn, those that are like-minded, those that are open, those that want a voice, those that want to listen. So that's a skill in itself. So for me, that's who sits at this table.
Yeah, man. That's a deep question. And like Em said, it may make some people feel some type of way. For me, I'll go one step further. Yes, it's for the people that have got the DNA of one step away from. But truth be told, probably not everyone who's got that DNA will be able to sit on this table. Because our mindset has to be equally yoked for what we want to achieve. In life, they're pioneers. I'm not saying ourselves are, but they're people that will come in and change the game and forge a new way for the mass to follow. And if you've got that same mindset to do that, then sure, come in, show us what you got, show us what you can bring to it. Can't just come and sit at the table empty-handed. You've got to bring something to it. That's just how I feel about it.
Oh. Yeah. I just want to solidify what all you guys have said. This table, I want people to be clear. Or I want to be clear, people, and for you to understand this table is not free for all. It's not just turn up and you got a seat reserved. Regardless if you're of wanting safe DNA or not, you have to prove yourself. We have to be able to trust you. You have to, because this is lives. This is lives we're dealing with. This is people's lives, people's futures, people's legacy. We're trying to create something for us that can last as long as any other race has had these things, these tables going for. We want in 400 years from now, our table to still be strong and standing. And seated at that table is our lineage, our future generations. So, and this is not to say that any other people from any other nation can't come around and have dinner. You can come and have some dinner. We will share our food with you. But you have to be respectful. You have to understand what we're doing. And you have to know that to have a seat or to be invited is a privilege in itself.
Very prominent there, Jay. Okay, let me put it this way. When you go to a club and there's a dress code, shoes only, no trainers, and you turn up with trainers, are you going to be mad if they don't let you in? Or don't you follow rules? If you go to an all-vegan restaurant and you expect meat, are you going to be mad if you don't get meat? It's that simple. It's an exclusive club. with rules. If you don't like it, make your own club. In fact, you already have yours. Why do you want ours? You're selfish. It's that simple. As I previously said, leave us alone. Mind yours. We built tables and never got a seat. So it's proven that we can build tables. All I'm saying is we're building it for ourselves. And if you want meat in a vegan restaurant, it's not here. If you want to wear trainers in our club, you can't do that. There's rules.
Yep. I know. Thanks for that. T, have you got a question?
Yeah, last question really. I think we'll sort of answered it in a roundabout way, but we'll do a quick answer, just in case we haven't really honed in on it. But what is the value of building our own table?
For me, the greatest value is being, is a word I'm looking for. Sustainable, self-sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the word, sustainable. The value is, quite frankly, is that if this physical and mental place is available, then we don't have to keep going through the same things that we go through week in, week out, day in, day out, month, year, decades, centuries. But having a platform, going back to what I said about creating a podcast, creating a document library where people can learn, and there's plenty of literature as well. I'm not just saying this is exclusive, but this is just another form of content. Having a format, a platform where you can actually have time and space without any pressures to learn what needs to learn. It just cuts out a lot of the BS, if I was being honest. I've been through a lifetime of BS, more so in terms of people that I've had to deal with. And I guess if I had prior knowledge or prior examples to see or to have been told by for someone like myself, then I'd probably be a little bit further ahead in terms of my journey and where I need to be. So the purpose and the value is actually this cuts out a lot of BS that you have to go through in life if you have these physical and mental spaces, i.e. table, to be able to sit at, to be able to learn from without having to kind of learn it the hard way. Like a lot of the BS that I have had to go through is because I've been sitting at the wrong table. Sometimes when I felt, you know what, yeah, I'm enjoying myself at this table. Like this is, nah, it's not. You like, it's time to go. There's time to go. Yeah, you had a few drinks and whatnot, but actually, you can't stay here. You can't deal with this or whatever. And it's not. I'm not just talking about from a work standpoint. I'm talking about from everything. T, you mentioned at the start about relationships, stuff like that. That's all part and parcel of it. It really is. You might think that you're on an even keel in certain relationships, and I'm not just talking about intimate ones either. I'm talking about friendships as well. But then you realize, hold on, why is my seat away from the table? Like I just went to the toilet and now my seat's not there anymore. So the value is that a lot of the BS that people with one SAF DNA will just be cut short, and then you can get to where you need to get without having to suffer as much.
Levels. For me, the value is the purpose. Yeah. And the purpose is a result of us finally coming together. I'm a man of faith. I have no doubt that there are like-minded people, just like what we're doing here. There's other people out there that have thought about starting something like this, maybe already generations into starting something like this. I know we're not the only 5, 6. Yeah, I know. So the value is more value added. That's what we have here. We have value. We had value from the start. From pilot 1, we had value. We had ideas, we had ambitions, we had gumption. We had a pen and a paper. We had all this. The value is always added. Always added.
Boy, value is almost as important as the definition. You need to know what you're fighting for. I have to keep using terminology related to warfare because our mentality is we've left that warlike spirit. We've got it when we want to battle each other. We can become the warriors of old then. We don't seem to have it when it comes to other nations. We seem to be subdued. And that's not our fault. It's a learned behavior through interactions that were forced upon us. The value to me is the kingdom mentality. I mentioned this in a previous podcast. When you have a kingdom to rule, and your responsibility is the survival of the people who are inside that kingdom, you will find kingship. You have no choice. You don't want to see your people fall. This table is our kingdom. The word sounds grand. The word sounds major. Reminds you of castles and all sorts. What's the representation of what I'm saying? The kingdom is the value. It's the home. It's the root. It's where everything else spires out from. We need to come back to our kingdom mentality. If all of us, imagine if all of us as a nation felt that we all were working for one kingdom. What would we do every time we wake up? Would we disrupt our brothers and our sisters? Would we work against them? If so, this is not the table for you. The value to me is the kingdom mentality that needs to be instilled in every single one of us. Because our time is precious, man. Once it's gone, it's gone. What do you want to leave this earth saying, I've done X, Y, and Z? Or people will look at you saying, you have done X, Y, and Z. Or do you want to be known as that street rat that was running around the gutters and the sewers in the same kingdom that you could have lived in?
Yeah, man, powerful. Thank you, guys. I guess for me, value, it's legacy. For me, it's building something that will last more than the buildings, more than our lifespan. Value for me is generational wealth, not just financially, but wisdom as well. Of course, financially would help. Look at most of the richest people in this world. Only probably 5% of them are man-made. The rest is generational. It started with someone. So if they did it, why can't we? Why can't it start with us? To put in the work, to put in the roots, the foundation, and then look at our people 100 years from now benefiting from it. For everyone that's sitting on this table, this is not just for us. We know that. So all the 5 questions we had, we fully understand. We want what's best for our people, not just for us. For our kids, for our kids' kids. Because we've seen our parents go through the same things we're going through now. Working shifts 24/7, not being at home, looking after your kids, leaving the media to parent your kids, the schools to parent your kids. Why? Because you're out there breaking your back, And like M said, there's an expectancy of how your life will pan out. When you get to a certain stage, you die quietly with nothing. That has to change. And we are the pioneers for it. So again, thank you to our viewers and listeners for listening to us today. Please, let's keep having these conversations. Let's keep sharing ideas. This is the only way we're going to get out of this rat race that we're in. On all social media platforms, Spotify, Anchor, Instagram, YouTube, Apple Podcast. Yes, we are. So yeah, interact with us. Let's have those conversations.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say thank you for those who's been listening to us throughout season 1 or who's new to joining us for season 2. Expect us for season 3. This is the last episode for season 2, and it's been a real one. We've always been real in all of our podcasts, but we're directly asking you, what are you doing to build your table for your people, for your nation, and for yourself? You are of one step, if you are of one step away from DNA. If not, who can you identify of your people, of your nation, who are builders, or who want to build, or who just have ideas? Do you have a group of friends or family who you can sit and have discussions like we have, to really get the mind to critically think and to give yourself purpose that's sustainable, that's generational? This is a call to action. And we are not just talking this, we are doing this. Look forward to seeing you or hearing from you in season 3.
100%. And I'd just like to say, people might think that over the last 2 seasons we've been talking in codes or talking in riddles. I hope that for you guys that have been listening to the words, and it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand and dissect the words that we've used today: sustainability, survival, peace, generational wealth, freedom, safety, foundations, tables. They're not hard words to understand. Maybe it might seem weird hearing voices like this say it, but this is as real as it gets. Moving forward into the next seasons, hopefully we'll be able to share even more in terms of how the table becomes stronger, how those spaces become real. If you have the same mindset, or if that's something that you want to do, as Kay said, talk to your people around you that are builders. The builder mindset is a real thing, and it has to be tapped into. People will drop off. People will drop off, not only for maybe listen to us, but maybe if you've got a circle that you in your mindset you want to do something, there's going to be people that are not on that type of energy, because 1, because of fear, 2, because when people see someone else moving ahead, then that gives that person, they have to ask themselves questions, and they have to look at themselves in the mirror. Don't be afraid about that. Don't be afraid. And if you don't know the end route, it doesn't matter. It's about just having that mindset. That's the most important thing. So for me, this is real. And for everyone, wherever you're listening, if you have an inkling of wanting to build, then keep on listening.